What's up YouTube? I'm Valentin the Mad, and this is a Gore review of Left 4 Dead 2. When I was just starting the series, there were 3 musts. Games from the past I absolutely had to review, and those are Soldier of Fortune 2, Postal 2, and Left 4 Dead 2. And now, it's time to approach the last one. I do want to note that I'm reviewing a modified game. However, both mods I'm using are very easy to apply and they work client-side. The first one is a modification made by Spike, a friend of mine who is also a viewer of the series. His mod increases the amount of blood and bodies that stay in the game, making a huge improvement to the Aftermath experience that is pretty lacking by default. An explanation how to apply it can be found in the video description. The other one is improved blood textures by Bakakemono. His mod significantly improves the looks of body wound decals and blood on the environment, also increasing their size. You can find his mod in Steam Workshop. So how gory is Left 4 Dead 2? Let's find out. I'll be reviewing every aspect of the game's gore effects, and the score will be set based on 4 categories: body damage, environment, animations and sounds, the fuel. Each limb has 2 points of amputation, the head can be severed and destroyed, and the body has goriest variations of destruction. So the head can be removed by several melee weapons, and just like in Dead Island, everyone gets the same generic severed head, regardless of sex or other differences. On gunfire, the head can be destroyed, spreading brain matter on the surface, or can be partially destroyed with some really cool damage variations. This one is my personal favorite. Keep in mind that the head gore is not dynamic, meaning that nothing will happen on further shots to the head. As for the looks, the dismemberment is awesome in Left 4 Dead 2, and the blood splatter from the amputations and the wound variations is the best I have seen in gaming. It comes directly from the wounds, there's not too little of it, and it's not over the top. Absolutely perfect. Obliteration of enemies in Left 4 Dead 2 is one of the best I have seen. There are a few variations for it that look mind-blowingly brutal. Seriously, just look at this. I do want to note, however, that dismembered limbs, pieces of brain, and some of the mess from the obliteration shortly disappears. As for non-dismemberment damage, you have bullet wound decals and goriest damage variations mapped across the body, and those variations are basically the biggest feature in the gore system of Left 4 Dead 2. Those gory variations are caused by dismembering weapons, such as shotguns and big rifles, and you also have variations that are caused by sharp weapons, such as the katana, fire axe, or the crowbar, a gaming classic. Now those variations are mapped across almost the entire body, and the looks of those wounds are insanely good. However, there are a few issues with this. First, you are limited to 2 variations and amputations per zombie. I usually don't mind too much when dead characters are not responsive, but the zombies in Left 4 Dead 2 don't die instantly, and the experience does get damaged when you shoot a zombie in the middle of his death animation and see nothing happen but a big blood puff. Also, there are several locations on the body that don't respond to damage, but there's very few of them, and you will be seeing those very rarely when playing the game. Despite those shortcomings, Left 4 Dead 2 is the king of the variations approach to body damage. I have seen other games try this, but Left 4 Dead 2 does the best job with it. It's not perfect, and there is room for improvement, but it still is great. Unfortunately, all of the above applies only for the smaller ones. The cannon fodder Zeds, how I call them. As for the special infected, the body damage is nothing like what you have for the small ones. Basically, it's bullet wound decals for everything, and there is no visible damage for sharp weapons. The only exception is the boomer who explodes on death. It is very disappointing taking the smaller Zed's body damage into account. I think there was a lot of room for creativity to make the body damage for special infected to truly be exceptional and awesome. You have a few bullet sponge characters in the game, and even though encounters with them are not very common, fighting them is not something I consider to be fun. I have a video discussing the issue and use tank to describe my vision for fighting characters with long HP bars. You can find the link to it in the video description. To sum it up, I want to see proper body damage responses for what you are dealing on the character and changes to their behavior as they are being wounded. As for burning characters, the body damage for the cannon fodder Zeds is pretty neat. You have this nice and brutal burned character model. As for behavior, the animation is longer than most games, but I definitely think there is room to make it even longer and more brutal. However, the bigger characters are an entirely different story. Some don't have any body damage for burning, and even when they do, it looks much less impressive than what we have for the small ones. Also, they all seem to be indifferent to burning until they die. There is no change of behavior at all. I do need to mention that all of them keep burning once set on fire. They don't auto-extinguish themselves like bigger characters do in many other games. When it comes to survivors, body damage is almost non-existent. The only time you will see something will be either when a hamper jumps on one of the survivors or bullet wounds on friendly fire. I'm not expecting the body damage to be as detailed as what we have for the Zeds, but seeing the human characters unscratched despite all of the abuse they are going through just looks really bad. My suggestion would be to have a few damage variations and some gory variations for dead characters. Yes, that would eliminate the defibrillator in the game, but I think gory deaths for players are more important than the revive mechanic. I do want to note that survivors who are low on health will be limping and move much slower than a healthy one, and once their health drops, they will be incapacitated and will need the help of a teammate to get up. This is awesome. I am talking about it in almost every Gore review because most games just lack it, and it's great to see it happen for a change. However, the effect of this would be stronger if wounded players would actually look wounded. The environment aspect is absolutely the weakest thing about Left 4 Dead 2's Gore system. The detection of where a bloodstain appears works like this. If you shoot a zombie, it will stain the surface if there is one behind them, and if you slash a zombie, it will stain the surface on the side. That's literally all. You will be seeing great blood spilling effects that just disappear into nowhere. It's a huge miss-out in my opinion. If something spills, it should leave a stain, and it by no means is a crazy request. The environment aspect is where the mods kind of come to the rescue. Improved blood textures increases dramatically the size of the blood splatter decals. I'm normally strongly against oversized stains, but this mod kind of works as a painkiller for a broken arm. It doesn't fix the problem, but you certainly feel better. Also, by default, blood and bodies disappear way too quickly. There's a really small threshold of how many of those can stay, and you will be seeing them disappear right in front of your eyes constantly. And this is what Spike's mod improves. You won't be seeing a single bloodstain disappear, and it significantly increases the amount of bodies that can stay. I think that permanent blood and bodies should be in the graphical settings by default, and really, be the easiest 10 points a game can score in my Gore reviews. This is one of the things I'm actively pushing for in my videos, and hopefully, one day it will become the standard. As for the animations, you have short hit responses and pretty awesome death animations that are combined with ragdoll effects. Since it usually takes 2 bullets to kill a cannon fodder Zed, the non-fatal hits don't really affect them much. They just acknowledge the hit and keep running at you. But the death animations, however, are really cool. You have plenty of animations that blend in really well with the ragdoll effects and generally look pretty awesome. I do think, however, that the process of killing the smaller ones could be more brutal. Here's my vision. You shoot a zombie and after 2 shots he goes down, but he doesn't die. He stays disabled for 20 to 40 seconds, and when he gets up, he either limps at you in a terrifying way or attacks you while crawling. Most of them would die anyway, but if you're not careful enough, some could surprise you. All of the above is true only for the cannon fodder Zeds. The only animation I have seen on the bigger ones is when you kill Tank or the Witch and they are collapsing. The special infected have a very important role in the gameplay, but when it comes to pretty much anything in the gore system, they are badly done. As for the sounds, you have awesome sounds for hits on flesh with different weapons, enemies scream on pain and on death, and the human characters comment constantly on what's going on. The melee weapons sound really awesome in the game. You hear the hit or the cut, along with spilling blood, and it feels really satisfying. The screams of zombies on pain and on death are fairly short, but they kind of work when you are killing them by the masses. I do think they could be longer and more brutal though. As for the survivors, they comment on pretty much everything, from the setting and finding weapons, to being attacked and seeing other characters die. This side of the sound aspect is perfectly done. So how does the whole thing feel really? Pretty great. The awesome looking body damage and the death animations give great response to almost everything you would do. There are some major issues with different aspects in the game, but the experience is a blast despite those. So the score for body damage is 21 out of 30. The score for environment is 11 out of 30. The score for animations and sounds is 22 out of 30. I give the feel a score of 8 out of 10. So this gives Left 4 Dead 2's gore system a total score of 62 out of 100. What? The score is this low? Yes, and this video is a 14-minute explanation why. Have no doubt, Left 4 Dead 2 is a very gory experience. A must-have for every virtual maniac really. But there are many aspects to a gore system, and it's not only about the amazing looks of the wounding variations. While some aspects are very well done but have room for improvements, you have stuff like the environment or the special infected that were very neglected in this game. Hope you enjoyed watching the review. Let me know how you feel in the comment section, and if you liked the video, subscribe and share it with your friends. You can find the link to all of my Gore reviews in the video description. Until next time.